On October 8th, 2021, Rockstar Games officially announced the release of the much anticipated and speculated Grand Theft Auto, The Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. A real mouthful of a name. Speculation began as a result of 2021 being the year that Grand Theft Auto 3, the game that changed everything for open-world gaming and the gaming industry in general, would turn 20 years old, along with Rockstar's parent company, Take-Two Interactive, sending out cease and desist orders on popular reverse-engineered GTA mods. Anxious old-time fans took the speculation to heart, hoping to see a re-release of the trilogy that defined the early 2000s, and they were proven right, and collectively rejoiced with the official announcement in early October, followed by being given an official release date of November 11th, 2021, which was just a few weeks away at this point. The release was going to be vast on many platforms at launch, giving Xbox, PlayStation 4 and 5, PC, and even Nintendo Switch players a piece of the action. Also later planning in 2022 to bring it to iOS and Android. Naturally, being from Rockstar, the expectations were incredibly high, but the small expectation of Rockstar actually being able to deliver it was not much of a question for the masses. An expectation that nobody would think of until release day, when the inherent expectation was squandered in a few short hours. Everything from the days of the announcements up until the day before release went exactly as you'd expect. People dissecting the trailers and the screenshots, criticizing and making comments about every little thing, all fueled by articles from PC Gamer or Kotaku, also in the mix. Some were less than impressed with the graphics, others were fine with it, some were more concerned about censorship that might be done to appeal to today's age of political correctness, or the songs that might be, and ultimately were actually removed from the game due to licensing issues. None of this really affected Rockstar until the day before release on November 10th, when some PlayStation players began to play the game a day early. An error on the PlayStation Network for both PS4 and PS5 players saw their games unlock early, granting them access. Rockstar, of course, stepped in and removed it altogether from the PlayStation Store, revoking access to PlayStation users until the actual release time. This was relatively understandable and didn't really rub anyone the wrong way, as these were gamers who wouldn't have been able to access it anyway and were merely taking advantage because they could. This little speed bump was not much, but it was a real start of the problems the game would see as the release day neared closer the next morning. The slated release date for the trilogy was November 11th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. The time and the day came, people downloaded the games and began playing, everything was relatively fine. Despite some problems and errors with the PC versions, which is now somewhat minor compared to what actually came about regarding the PC versions, the Rockstar Launcher, and the Rockstar servers. Shortly after the morning, at about 2 p.m. Eastern, Rockstar announced that the Rockstar Launcher, the store, and all the services for PC games of theirs was offline for what they called maintenance. Something we all know was a code word for the servers crashing and not being able to handle the ingress on release day. From that point forward, no one was able to download the games that they had just paid for or pre-ordered earlier, rendering it impossible to enjoy what was promised, an issue only PC players, including myself, felt. This even went beyond the trilogy, as because of the outage, the other games on Steam that are connected through Rockstar Launcher, like GTA 5, GTA 4, and Red Dead Redemption 2, were rendered unplayable for the time being, causing great frustration from the communities affected, some of which had no interest in the trilogy that was causing the issues in the first place. Irate PC players, again including myself, did not receive any official word for almost 15 hours, when just shy of 5 a.m. Eastern, Rockstar Support tweeted that they were simply continuing to work on restoring services with no timeline or anything to go off of. At this point, it was abundantly clear that something was extremely wrong, as a company with a lot of trust and reputation became overly incompetent in a matter of one whole day. An answer finally came close to 7 p.m. Eastern on the 12th, over a day after the issue began. In that statement, Rockstar was able to state that the Rockstar Launcher was functional again. However, they were now removing the remasters from the store, including every other virtual marketplace on different platforms, even for people who had bought it and downloaded it, rendering it impossible to play due to an issue with files unintentionally included in these versions. Dataminers have determined that these files are music files that they no longer have licenses to use, among other things. Anger ensued again, just as it had when the issue began originally, with numerous people requesting and demanding refunds, fed up with the problematic handling of the situation. This has, of course, been an extremely horrible PR event for Rockstar, and I'd have to say that this will go down as one of the biggest blunders in modern gaming history, and there has been a lot of those in the past decade or so. My 2 cents worth is certainly that denying players who have already paid you for the product is extremely wrong, even if it is temporary. I did also correctly predict this would happen, as I tweeted myself on November 6th that I expected the Rockstar Launcher to crash and make it unplayable. I hate to say that I was correct, but I am not totally surprised. I was not even being satirical or funny with it. I actually believed it would happen, and unfortunately I was right. It seems, judging by replies on Twitter, that Rockstar is very cooperative with the angry masses who want a refund, and I have to say that from a public relations standpoint, they better be, as a lot of people are rightfully frustrated. I'll end off with saying that I do think this literally could have been avoided by just putting it on Steam, instead of being self-righteous and using the Rockstar Launcher exclusively. I understand from a business standpoint that it makes sense to make your own launcher and use it so you don't have to share profits with the distributor, being Valve in this case, but all the issues with servers being down would have been avoided this way, as Steam is certainly capable of handling the traffic it frequently does with big releases. A lot of arguments about that opinion are met with the fact that Rockstar Games has integration to use the Rockstar Launcher for Social Club, but guess what? It's unnecessary. That could just not have been in the game's setup, as Steam Cloud exists for saving progress already, and given that the trilogy has no link between GTA Online or Red Dead Online, there's no real reason for it to require that integration and sign-in. Not even GTA 4 needs it, but it has it. This has turned out to be worse than the debacle with Cyberpunk 2077, in my opinion, where that product was unfinished and rushed out just to receive consumer disgust and mass refunding. And you can see where the parallels begin here. In this case, it is pure mismanagement, incompetency, and infrastructure failure that shouldn't exist for a billion-dollar company like Rockstar. All in all, I am quite baffled and disappointed that a company like Rockstar failed this bad, and though I will be playing it myself to enjoy it when I can actually reach it, I'll have this gaffe in the back of my head, hopefully there to be laughed at sometime in the future. Anyhow, this is a complete recap of information that I have been able to piece together regarding it all. This was slightly cathartic to make simply due to myself being one of those people who are being locked on the outside without the product that I already paid for, and considering I've had to rearrange my upload schedule to accommodate their mistakes, I can't say I'm totally content at the moment. But that is going to do it for this video. I appreciate everyone for listening, so thanks, and more than ever, take care.